Hey everybody, it's fall, it's football season, it's getting cooler weather. Well, it's supposed to be cooler weather, it's 90 degrees outside, but it is going to get cooler weather. And with all that, you think of all kinds of stuff, but I wanted to make some beef jerky. And my friend Michele O'Brien has been making it and smoking it, and so I wanted to try it. We were going to do it together, but we never can get together, and she gave me some of her ideas, and then I researched a little bit and have come up with my own marinade. We'll see if it's as good as hers. Hers are pretty darn good. So today we're going to make the marinade, and Tyrone's going to join in with us. He's talking. I know you get all my noisy pets in all of these, so enjoy Tyrone adding his touch too. We're going back to the marinade for the beef jerky. Now, first of all, what I bought was rump roast. It was about a 2-pound rump roast, and I asked the butcher to slice it as thin as he could, and he said on his saw he could do 1/4 of an inch, and you want 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch cut with the grain. So that's what I got. You could get more. You can use eye of the round. You can use sirloin. Any of those things will work. You just want it cut really thin, and you want like a roast. And the leaner the better, actually. So here's what I've got. You know, I looked at a lot of the recipes, and they had brown sugar because you do the sweet and the heat with the beef jerky. And I didn't have brown sugar, but I know that I've made some recipes with pork for barbecue and stuff, and instead of brown sugar, you use Dr. Pepper. So I'm going to use 2 cups of Dr. Pepper. And we're going to put this in here. And then I have a tablespoon of soy sauce that we're going to dump in. And I have half of a tablespoon of liquid smoke. Although we are going to smoke it, so you're still going to get the smoke flavor, but I always like to add a little liquid smoke to it. And you could add up to a tablespoon of that if you'd like. Now I have 3 kinds of peppers here. This is ground black pepper, and then this is an orange pepper, and I'll show you. I've got it at Sam's, and it's got a little heat too. You don't have to use this if you can't find it, but it really is good. So I've got about a teaspoon of the black pepper, and about a half a teaspoon of the orange pepper, and then this is about a half a teaspoon. It might be a little bit less, but of the red pepper. But you can use up to a teaspoon of red pepper, depending on what kind of heat you want. So so in all that is about 2 teaspoons of pepper, and I just mixed up the types of pepper. And you could, if you don't have orange pepper, you could use all black pepper, or you can use cayenne, a little cayenne, or the red pepper flakes for the heat. So I'm putting all of that in. Like I said, you know, you make it your own. So then now we have I have sea salt. I'll show you what I have here. Sea salt, and this is 2 tablespoons of sea salt. I just have everything all measured out. And then we have garlic powder and onion powder, and I've got about a teaspoon of each. Get that all in there. And then I have jalapenos from my garden. I wanted to add those because, you know, when you think of beef jerky, you think of a little heat. And so I have diced 2 jalapenos. You can do 2 or 3. I did 2 because with the other peppers, I don't like real hot. So if you like yours hot or spicier, and I seeded the peppers. The seeds are out of them. But if you like the heat, keep the peppers in it. And now we're going to put all that in there. So now we are going to cook it on the oven. We're going to let it get hot and then simmer it. And you want to reduce it by about half so that, you know, to create the marinade. I'm going to start it off on high heat, and as soon as it starts getting a little bit of a bubble, I'm going to turn it down. And I'm going to stir this all up because I haven't started up yet. It's going to be so good. I love good beef jerky. Pat, the cameraman, my husband, they're driving out of town this week, and so I thought I'd make this beef jerky so that they could take it with them on the road trip. I'm going to turn it down a tad. I'm going to turn it to medium now. Let it get to, just because my hand's hot. I'm going to keep stirring it to make sure it's all mixed in. That Dr. Pepper ought to give it some good flavor. You know, and whenever you smoke it, I have apple wood, and but mesquite wood, cherry wood, because Dr. Pepper, when you think of Dr. Pepper, you think of cherries. So cherry wood would be also good also, but to smoke it. And then, and I'll tell you more about the smoking it tomorrow, because once we get this marinade made, then we have to let it cool. I'll put it in a bowl and put it in the refrigerator and just let it get chilled, and then we will put our meat in it and then let it sit overnight, and then we'll marinate it tomorrow. Boy, you can, the heat of the peppers and stuff are getting in my throat, so it will be a little spicy. It's gonna be good. So you can see now the little the peppers and the jalapenos in there now. You see where it is in the bowl, so we want to reduce it to about half. It'll cook down about halfway. Okay, so I have simmered this, and it's reduced down, and you can see how much it's reduced down. It's reduced. It's about half, and now we just need to cool it before we chill it. We want it to cool before we put it in the refrigerator. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it in this bowl and let it just cool off. Let it just sit and cool. And then, I mean, this is a process, and so it's like you have to plan to do this, but when you do it, it's very good and people will love it. So after this cools, then I'm gonna put it in a Ziploc baggie with my meat, and then marinate the meat overnight, and so then we'll be done with it. So I'll come back to you when this is all cooled. Okay, so the marinade is chilled now in the refrigerator. There's a couple of these pieces of meat that have a little fat on the end that I'm just gonna go ahead and trim off, because they just makes it chewier. So it's kind of better just to get rid of it. And this is what my butcher cut this for me. And you know, and I told him as thin as possible. I asked him for a fourth of an eighth or an eighth of an inch, and he was able to do about a fourth. This is about a fourth of an inch off of the saw, he said. So, and this is perfect. So what we're gonna do is put these in a bag to marinate overnight. 12 to 24 hours is best. You could go as little as 8 hours, but the longer it sits, the more flavor it has. So I'm gonna go for overnight, and then we'll put them in the smoker in the morning. And you only smoke them for about 2 hours, but depending on thickness, you just kind of watch it, because it can be up to 4 hours. You want it to be you don't want it to be too dry, but they need to be dried out. And when you pick it up and it doesn't bend, that's usually a sign they're done. You don't want them to be chewy. Okay, so whoops, get that last piece there. So we've got all of this. And I'm going to get a Ziploc bag. I'm going to take this precious gold marinade and pour it all in there. And then we're going to put all the meat in. I'm going to just kind of separate it out a little bit. It doesn't really matter in the end, but it kind of get it where they're separated a little bit. Not just all touching each other. I mean, you can tell whenever these dry out. Some will be bigger than others, but they'll be good size. That one had a little fat on it, but I didn't catch that. Well, just let it stay. That's why you want a lean cut of meat. The eye of the round, this round steak, top round or bottom round. You want to roast so that you can cut it thin. That's got a lot of fat in it. I'm going to cut some of that out. You want something like that so that you don't have less fat in it, and that'll make for better You want it to, oh, I know what I was saying. You want it to be a roast, so you can cut it thin. Okay, so I'm going to try to let some of the air out of this. So what I'm doing next is I want to make sure it gets on all the meat. I want to push it into it, like rub it in. Make sure it's sealed good. See, I'm just making sure the marinade is all in the meat. It gets in all of it. And then we're just, after we get it all, make sure it's all in all of it, that every bit of the meat has some marinade in it. We will. What I'm gonna do is get it spread out like this, get it all pushed in, and I am going to set it flat in the fridge for overnight. But I'm gonna let more air out of it without losing the marinade. Okay, that looks good. You can kind of see. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow. Okay, so I've smoked this on 160 and I moved it up to 170. It took a long time because they were kind of thick pieces. Probably 4 hours, maybe even longer. But you can see it's pliable, but it's not just straight, you know. And I'll show you another one. So what I'm doing is putting it in, see? I mean, it's bendable, but it's dry. I mean, it's good. So I'm putting it in a Ziploc baggie and letting it just sit here. I'm sealing it, but not all the way. Just letting it sit because it's still a little warm, and that'll keep it moist to just put it in there. So, and then it'll be good for the trip. And this is 2 pounds of beef jerky right here. And it is good. We've had some. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for beef jerky. It's my first time to make it. This one turned out pretty well. There's all kinds of recipes out there. I hope you give it a try if you're a beef jerky eater. Be sure to let your butcher slice your meat though, because it's hard to slice it evenly on your own. You can, but it's not easy. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and hit that like button and that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Bye.